Hey, Bridge Church family. My name is Andy Whisenant. I'm excited to share with you a little bit more about my heart behind and excitement for applying for the role of director of More Fatherless. You know, growing up in the church, I'd always heard stories about the orphan care crisis. I'd heard these overwhelming stories and numbers, but it never really sank in for me until I had the chance to go to Ukraine and serve with a buddy of mine in an orphan care ministry there. One of our jobs that week was to serve at different stops along the way with like a VBS camp type of experience. We met a little boy one day named Stash. It's a good, strong Ukrainian name. And as we started talking more to Stash, he let us know that he'd been dropped off at this orphanage about 3 days before we got there. And so his whole little world, or what he knew of it at 5 or 6, was completely falling apart. And he kept asking us, could you please just take me home? And we had to say, well, buddy, we don't know where you live. And he said, that's okay. Just take me to the nearest bus stop and I'll find my way home from there. And in that moment, on that playground at that orphanage, God broke my heart into 1,000 different pieces. Now that I had heard Stash's story, now that I had seen what his life was like, and knew that his story was repeated in 1,000 and 1,000,000 different ways around the world, I was responsible. I cannot not live my life serving kids who are in crisis. And I think we as the church are called to that too. It's easy to pull back and say, this is a really, really big crisis. And I think crisis is the right word. It's too big of an issue. It's too hard. We can't change anything. But I'm crazy enough to believe that we can. I'm crazy enough to believe that we can be the generation of the church that says no more. Because I believe with everything in me that the church is God's chosen vehicle for change. That we are called and equipped as God works through us to accomplish His will in His redemption process, to call people back to Himself, and to be a voice for those who don't have one. The Scripture is pretty clear on how His heart is for the widow and the orphan, and we are called to do just that work. It can be overwhelming for a church staff member, though, to say, where do we go from here? What's our first step? I've been on the receiving end of that as a church staffer, of someone coming to me and saying, we really need to start this new ministry, let's go, and not knowing where to go. I believe that my experience working in the local church and knowing the hearts of pastors and church leaders, and working for an organization now that creates resources and experiences for churches, gives me a unique perspective on the ability to serve different churches and to make More Fatherless an opportunity to serve churches around the world. I really look forward to the opportunity to talk with you more, and I thank you for the chance to share a little bit of my heart with you today.